Chuck Show.
With your host, Letterman jacket wearing aficionado, Chuck Hill.
All I caught was aficionado.
What?
That's all I caught. I'm pretty sure that you were on.
Yeah, I was on. I made sure I was on.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear. Well, welcome.
I said with me and that Letterman jacket wearing aficionado.
Oh, back in high school, which is ironic because I really wasn't that big of an athlete.
No.
I ran track for 2 years. That was the extent of my.
You running? That's enough.
Right. Well, back then I was also like 145 pounds as opposed to over 200 that I am now.
No, you were no bigger than a mop handle.
That's true. I have pictures to prove it. Pictures to come, folks. So welcome to the Mac and Chuck Show, folks. How you guys doing tonight? Mac, how are you?
I'm all right. I like your little message there in the comments.
Oh, yeah. Don't be a looky-loo. No looky-loos tonight.
You.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah. How's your week been? Kind of cold, I'm going to bet, huh?
Very, very, very packed in.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. So
3
it was
days
so.
off for the snow days.
Now, do you get compensated for snow days where you work?
My day, I was off those days, so
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't. But
Well, that's
I
lucky.
get
then, right?
compensated in other ways by not being at work.
Not having to drive through that mess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I'd actually scheduled Wednesday off, so that wasn't too bad.
How bad was Thursday?
Thursday we all worked from home. Office was closed, and then Friday I went in and
Friday wasn't too bad.
Yeah, Friday was all right, and it was much better Saturday, and today I think quite a bit of it melted away, which is nice.
I didn't have any issues.
So again, folks,
Where's that
tonight.
cough?
Oh, I know. Again tonight, I am battling this stupid cough. I'll be glad when it's over with. This is a yearly thing, so but bear with us. I'll try and dump myself before I cough in everyone's ear or whatever, but
Excuse
not
me?
dump on myself,
Oh.
dump myself. But I've been dumped before, so
My eyes itch. Allergies. It's getting
Yeah.
warmer.
it's so crazy. That's one thing.
It's going to be,
living in
what,
the
50
Midwest.
degrees in 2 days?
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing about living in the Midwest that I did not miss when I lived out out in Seattle. I didn't miss like the changing weather on a daily, if not hourly basis at all. It was kind of nice for it to be between 70 and 90 the entire time. Every
You're
once
a
in a while
liar. It was consistently in the 50s. Don't give me that
in
noise.
Seattle.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say consistently. No. Matter of fact, Debbie, you are welcome.
What'd you do?
All right. So just a little story, and I'm not,
Are you tooting your horn?
no, actually, I was not going to toot my horn at all, but it was going to be one of my random thoughts, as opposed to a random thought. So Debbie, I'm so glad to see you tuned into the show. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, Debbie was having a little trouble earlier getting out of her, getting onto the road from the snow-packed banks that she was in, and I stopped and helped her get out and made sure that she was on her way safely. So Debbie, you are welcome. So that's kind of what brings me to my random thought, or not so much as, just an encouragement more than anything ever can. Is like, I guess the random thought is, why don't people, do more for others just out of sheer kindness and just, to help other people. And then what I'd like to do is just encourage everybody, do something for someone else and don't expect anything in return. Just be kind, show others love, and show others that, care and that there's good stuff out there. And that there are good people out there. I need to get rid of the StreamYard banner up there. There we go. I'm not sure what was on there. We paid this month, so they don't get they don't get to top their own services.
Get that junk off.
That's right. So, but yeah, that's kind of my random thought. Just be kind to others. Do it out of the kindness of your heart, and just do it without the expectation of getting paid. And just be nice to your fellow man. That's my random thought for the week.
I see. So, what do we have on tap tonight?
Well, I think we're gonna, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, this is probably a good thing to to talk about tonight, and that's COVID and its lasting impact. Folks, this will probably be one of the last shows we do on COVID for a while.
Yeah.
Primarily, thanks, Cam. Primarily because COVID is just so overplayed.
It's overplayed, but it's not going to go anywhere.
No,
So,
it's not.
Just get back, accept it for what it is, get back to living your life.
Right, but unless it's okay, I guess, to bring it up every once in a while if there's like a big thing going on. But I just kind of feel that the more attention that this virus gets, then you're right, it's not going to go away. I'd love to go away, and I really think that COVID is eventually going to get to the point of it's like the flu. And I think that that's probably the longest lasting effect that we're going to have. Is that it's just going to be downgraded to pretty much, you get a vaccine every year, just like you do the flu. You get it if you want it, don't get it if you don't want it. But yeah, I don't know. We're interested to hear everyone else's opinions on this. Nikki says COVID is here to stay. Nikki, I kind of think I agree with you on that. On some level, it's going to be here, at least within all of ours foreseeable lifetime. What are your thoughts, Mr. Mack?
Well, I think, as the virus mutates and as it gets passed from host to host, I think just like everything else, the contagiousness of it will, still be strong, but maybe the severity of it will be severely diminished.
So you think it'd be more like the common cold? Cold?
No, I wouldn't go that far like the common cold. Maybe along the same lines as the flu. Again, depending, impacting you depending on your comorbidities and your health status and things like that.
Right. So, folks, we would love to have you guys join us tonight. I've got a link there in the comments. If you click on that link there, it will actually take you to the show studio page, and you'll be able to log in from there, and then we can let you guys on. We would love to hear, your thoughts and opinions on this. The nice thing is, I know, Mac, that we get a lot of differing opinions and a lot of differing political opinions on here. People, on the left and on the right, both, watch the show. So I'm really interested to know what you guys think, and if you'd be willing to, just kind of come on the show and share those thoughts with us, and let us know what you think. Mac, I'll be right back.
Got a cough. You didn't do it.
I didn't dump it.
Nope.
Didn't hit my own dump button over here. That's
Nope.
All right.
That was loud in my ears, you clown.
All right.
No, but we always welcome different viewpoints. And plus, if you don't want to come on video, you can come on audio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody's got to be better looking than us. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, speak for yourself, but
no. No, I'll continue to speak for you too.
I will say you have a better smile than I. That's for sure. Better teeth, anyway.
But I think the main thing that we really would like to get opinions on is, what is the lasting impact over the last 2 years? Is it
Are you asking the lasting impact, or are you asking what the effect has been from people over the last 2 years? Like how it's affected people over the last 2 years?
I'm kind of touching on both. How it's affected everybody, how they've adjusted to it in their lifestyles, how things are going to look in the future, such as, are there going to be any snow days anymore in the future? There were for my kids this year, but Granite City had e-learning those days.
Right.
People working remotely, how's that going to impact the real estate market? It's really, really enveloped things like that, because if you're a company, why would you want to spend money on such? Oh yeah, thanks. Why would you want to spend money on real estate when you don't have to? It's a lot less expensive to have someone set up their own home office and just give them the equipment as you would if they were there with you. Granted, you can have a small space for a meeting room or something like that, but like when I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield downtown, they had multiple floors on different levels, when a lot of that now could be done remotely from a home office.
So your question is more towards commercial real estate as opposed to residential real estate.
Oh yeah, I mean, as far as the workplace goes, when I said working remotely, how is that going to impact the real estate market as far as commercial real estate goes? How are we going to continue to see office buildings being built? Is this the new normal for businesses to cut the bottom line? It's stuff like that is the questions I'm really looking for. You can even break it down to bare bones. How are kids going to socialize now if they all do remote?
Yeah. Yeah. So Nikki saying she's doing bad now. Last 2 years, long as I was quarantined, she was doing fine. Less spending, less socializing, and fewer bills. That's kind of a good point, Nikki. On speaking on the economical aspect of working from home. You do. You're spending less money on gas. So for sure that would cut down on your bills there. You may be spending less money, not going out as much or something along those lines, especially if you go out to eat during the day for lunch or something along those lines. So I think, in my opinion, as far as the impact that it's had on, like, over the last 2 years, the economical impact for businesses, small businesses in particular, has just been devastating. I mean, there are still, I saw a TV article the other day, or what do you call it? TV blurb or whatever. They were, interviewing the mayor here in town, and then they were talking about, like, Granite City has lost like some 200 businesses, small businesses in the last 2 years. And man, that's damaging to our economy here. We've got a mayor on one hand who's, doing everything that he possibly can to try and revive the city, and he mentioned in that interview that, he's got an 8-year plan to, get things back on track. And I really hope that he can do it. But, when you have something like this that, just knocks your small businesses out of the water, I mean, that's a pretty hard thing to overcome.
You need to drink some water?
Well, I've got some tea here. I've got some tea here, but it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of good. I'm almost out of it, but that's okay. So Nikki also says emotionally she's doing good. Last 2 years she was lonely, selfless, and less motivated. I think I can see that. Especially the solitude and the depression would definitely make you less motivated. And I think that's one of the reasons that there's such a huge push to get kids back in school now also, because kids are suffering from depression. And you mentioned the social aspect of this earlier. I think that's extremely important to take into consideration, because kids not being able to socialize, we're built to be relational creatures. That's how we're designed. And when you don't have that interaction with other people, then we start to kind of wither away. So I hear you there, Nikki.
No, that's a good point. I mean, especially kids, that's how they develop themselves as they grow older, and not having remote, I've heard stories of kids having a lot of mental problems, emotional problems because of this. So, with the good side, as adults, saving gas money, not going out to eat as much, there are downsides to it, as you said, being relational creatures like we are.
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious, for all of you couples out there, like, what does Valentine's Day look like this year for you? Like, are you going to be going out in crowded places to eat and things like that? Are you going to be doing more intimate dinners at home? What does that look like for you guys? Kim's got an interesting comment here. She says, The Shining was created around isolation and snowed in. We're in a shining pandemic. There may be truth to what you're saying there, Kim.
Careful, Chuck's going to come busting through everybody's laptop screaming, "Here's Johnny!
Here's Chucky!"
That's frightening on all kinds of levels.
Looks like a Child's Play movie.
Meanwhile, Chuck's dying.
Okay, I am the entertainment tonight. Just whether or not will he make it or will he not? Stay till the end of the show to find out if I'm still around or not. It's not going to be COVID that gets me. It's going to be the stupid cough.
2 minutes, man. You can do it. 2 minutes.
Oh, man.
2 minutes.
Oh, it's crazy.
You start keeling over like this. Somebody prop him up. He's only got 30 seconds left.
Well, it's funny because on Tuesdays I do, my 9 to 5, I train our clients to use the software that we package with our printers, right? And it's just so funny because I'll be talking, and I'll tell them up ahead of time, like, okay, I'm going to be cutting out here every once in a while because they don't get to look at this mess or whatever. But I'll have to tell them ahead of time.
Why do I have to then?
I have to tell them up ahead of time. Look, I'm battling a cough, so if you hear me go dark for a minute or two, then I'm hacking up along over here. But oh my gosh,
here it comes.
And for those of you who are curious, yes, I have spoken to a doctor about this already. So it's just a yearly thing that I get.
You got the lung gunk,
I guess. So back to the topic at hand. Besides Chuck's impending doom.
What do you think? I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying to a degree? What do you see? As far as the social, the emotional, where do you see what's happened the last 2 years? Business wise, work wise, school wise. Where do you see that going?
So I have shared this opinion on the show before. I think it's part of a larger plan. Now, don't get me wrong, COVID's real. Let's get that out of the way. COVID's real. COVID exists and everything else. To the extent that it exists and that it's being portrayed by the media, I don't know, man. They say follow the science, and the science that I'm seeing doesn't support that. What I think is that this is a precursor to a conditioning. A precursor to a conditioning of what we can expect in the future. And I think that there are other things at play here. As far as, the long term, man, that's really up in the air because I know the effect that it's had on people already. I don't know the effect it's going to have in the future. As more and more variants, come through, the way science works is as a variant or as a virus mutates, it actually becomes weaker. It does not become stronger. Now, it can become more contagious, and sideline more people. Where I work at, I mean, man, we had a bunch of people sidelined over this. It was pretty severe. So where it's going in the future, I don't really know yet. I think it will be politicized as long as it can be politicized, and until enough people are finally like, yeah, we're not this we can't continue to live our lives in fear anymore. So we have to get back to a new normal, depending on what that looks like. And I think that is going to be defined by the citizens of this country. Left, right, doesn't matter. I just think that, the social aspect of the pandemic is going to be defined by the citizens of this country. And we're going to have to, at some point, develop and adapt a new normal, so to speak. You have the CDC coming out now that's, and this is on their website, the cloth mask that people are wearing and the non-N95 mask that people are wearing are just not as effective at stopping, virus droplets, fluids, things like that.
Well, they came right out and said they don't work.
Right. So, at some point, people are either going to make the decision to go ahead and continue to wear a mask, which, if that's what you want to do,
that's
awesome.
What you want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. If it's a matter of you want to, seclude yourself in your house for the, what you feel is the safest option for your family, that's fine. That's, up to your family. And then if you want to, just continue to live our lives the way we did before March of 2020, then that's okay also. But ultimately, I think we're just going to a point where the citizens are going to develop their own new normal. And I do think that on some level it's going to be polarizing. And I think we're going to be, secluded into, basically the three different groups, the pre-March 2020s, the post, pandemic people, and then those who, will seclude themselves and just kind of stay out of it, out of the, out of society on a whole.
No, and I think there's some truth to that. I mean, I think you're starting to see it now.
Kim's got a point here, herd immunity, and I think that we're going to get to one on that.
Right. And just like everything else, your body utilizes its immune system to customize itself to how it's going to respond to all types of stuff. My children's pediatrician has said as well that wearing masks all the time is not damaging, but it's hindering their immune system.
It's kind of like eating dirt when you're a kid.
Yeah,
when you're a baby,
Right. Well, as
Mud
an adult,
pies.
too, yeah. But if you're there to follow the science, you just can't follow the science on someone you have a confirmation bias with. You have to listen to all sides and do reading and all that stuff.
Right.
Which I've done. Did it stop me from getting it? No. I mean, was I affected by it bad? No. I mean, I will tell you the difference for me and everything, other than I've had the cold or the flu, is it's got one hell of a fatigue factor to it. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
It took me about a week to get over that, but all I had for one day was just a cough, and it really wasn't severe. It was more like irritating, kind of like yours.
Right. Oh, mine's extremely irritating, and not just me, but to everyone around me.
Yeah, I know.
Thank
God for your mute button.
Even the people I work with, lady I work with the other day made a comment. She's like, "Man, Chuck, that just kind of wants to linger on, doesn't it?" And I'm like,
"Sorry,
it does."
Sorry.
Yeah. And then when you're walking through Walmart or something like that, you have to tell everyone you're next to, "I promise it's not Corona. Promise I don't have the Rona."
Well, even when you're clearing the throat, like
right,
giving you the once over.
Right. At one point, the pariah of the community,
Yeah. Stay away from that guy. He's got a cough.
Right. Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I think we're going as far as, the lasting effects of, of the pandemic. I think eventually, there are some countries that are already starting to do this. They're ending their pandemic declarations and emergency declarations and things like that. They're basically moving on and letting their citizens govern themselves as far as all this goes.
Right. So, I mean, a follow-up question, what you just said is, do you think we're in an endemic?
I think after November 2022, we'll be in an endemic. I mean, in all honesty, I think that
looking back at 2020, looking back at last year, and looking where we are now, let's not talk about midterms and all that stuff. Let's just talk about what we've seen. I think we're on the tail end of it. Maybe not the tip of the tail, but I think we're on the downslope of it.
I think so. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, on the news and not just news, but what you're reading online and things like that. And folks, I don't get my news just from Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. I watch a couple different, news reports and read, multiple articles on who's reporting what. I really think if you're going to get a well-balanced informational diet, that you really need to, look at what everyone is saying, take the core fact, and then just kind of, piece it together and just kind of come to a decision yourself about what's true and what's not true.
Now, my dad has always told me is always see what the opposing viewpoint is saying.
Sure.
Just for, at the very least informative purposes, but, realistically to say, okay, what are they saying as opposed to what I believe?
Right.
Is there anything I can incorporate or slightly disagree or agree with?
Right.
Obviously, if it's your opposing viewpoint, you're going to have a lot more disagreements than agreements, but every now and then they can make a point where you're like, well, I didn't think of it that way.
Right. And the key to that, Mac, is communication, and it's open communication because, it's, if you don't listen to the opposing side, or those who disagree with you, then you're not actually educating yourself. You're actually, the term sheep is used a lot when referring to, the left side of the aisle. But you know what? There are conservative sheep also that will just, take whatever, Sean, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Last name
Hannity.
right now. Yeah, Sean Hannity is saying, or whatever Fox News is preaching. And the bottom line is they've all got agendas. And if you're not looking at everyone's point of view, and you're only looking at certain people's point of view, then you're really not educating yourself. You're just kind of self-indoctrinating, and that's not education. That's dangerous, is what that is, because you don't learn from that.
Right. And that's what a lot of people talk about confirmation bias. You're just looking for something to be like, yep, see, I knew I was right. And then you just get caught in your own rabbit hole and you're not open
Right.
as society needs to be. But we're getting off on a tangent here. But
that's okay. It's our show.
But I think it relates to it and how people view it. What's going on now, what the future may hold, regardless of what you believe.
Yeah.
And I think it's got a viewpoint of where we are.
Right. And I think it's important to note that everything that we're saying here is strictly the opinion of two moderately mild men, or mad men, but in the insane ravings.
I'm confused now.
I don't know. The insane ravings of two moderately mad men. There you go.
Well, that was easy for you to say.
No, it wasn't actually. So no, it's hard to say. I mean, we can sit here and wax philosophical all night long. But
I don't wax.
Wax on, wax off. Show me sand the floor. But I mean, we can sit here and jaw all night long. But the bottom line is, until we educate ourselves, we're going to continue in this circle of division among everybody until we all just kind of educate ourselves, treat each other like human beings and not idiots or anything like that, and then just respect each other's opinion. You don't necessarily have to agree with it, but respecting it is key to, honestly, I don't even know that this virus is the pandemic. Like, I think misinformation is probably the pandemic, and it started way before March 2020.
I wouldn't call it misinformation as much as not allowing a different viewpoint or allowing open discourse.
So controlled media. I mean,
right.
we talked about that before.
Right. I mean, it's my way and you're wrong. Well, no, this is what I've read. Well, that's wrong too. As I've read a lot, and I'm sure you have as well, is science that cannot be questioned is propaganda.
Right. And last I checked, neither you nor I were, like world-renowned scientists or anywhere near the Nobel Prize. But what I would like to do is officially invite anybody who wants to be on the Mac and Chuck show by clicking the link that we put in the comments there, to share your thoughts and opinions. And if you are a Nobel Prize scientist, or, educated at all on any of this, I mean, school us here. Let us know where we're wrong, where we're right. I think that, you're going to find that Mac and I are both open to subliminal messages. No, we're both open to.
You listen to Ozzy Osbourne again.
I have a craving for a bat all of a sudden. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, we're open to hearing what you guys think. While we, hopefully get a couple of people that maybe want to be on. I would like to, thank some of our new watchers this evening and some returning watchers as well. So,
you're what'd you call them at the beginning? Looky-loos?
Looky-loos, yeah. Don't be a looky-loo. Don't be a looky-loo. Be on the show. Join the two idiots. We're always happy to have conversations and talk about things.
Help Chuck out with his cough tonight.
Well, you can talk while I cough, but I'll just make sure, I'll be the background guy that you see about to die, while all the entertainment's actually going on, on the actual show. Not that I would dare call what we're doing here entertainment. But yeah, I mean, share your opinions. I mean, Nikki's chimed in, Amy's chimed in, Kim has chimed in. Debbie, I'm glad that, you're watching tonight. Kim, I'm glad you're watching tonight. But yeah, guys, just let us know. Reading.
I see Kim and Nikki and
I spy with my little eye. But anyway, join the conversation.
Oh, there it went. He's dying, ladies and gentlemen. You
Oh.
want to take the death pool now, or you want to wait 15 minutes?
Oh man. Well, we got a half hour yet, so not that we can torture these people that long, but I will say it's self-inflicted torture because no one twisted your arm to watch tonight. But
And there
very
goes
appreciated.
everybody. Good job.
Yeah, very appreciated. We're glad you found your way to our little corner of the interwebs.
We're going to show Coffee McCofferson here, and we're done.
We put the weird in the worldwide weird. So, all right, we got a comment from Amy.
Ah, we were waiting on that one.
Amy says, I think the problem of misinformation is indicative of the sad fact that we as Americans cannot trust what we are told by our government. Wow, that's a loaded comment right there, but I love it. I think that, it's contagious, I'm telling you. Amy, that's a great point right there, I think at one point, and honestly, I think that Walter Cronkite was probably one of the last true journalists, or news anchors, I should say. And, because you're right, we have, we can't trust, Lisa. We can't trust, we can't trust what our government says. And here's a sad thing. They will even tell us, like our government will even tell us, well, we can't tell you that. Or, well, we did say that, but, we couldn't tell the citizens all this other stuff, and it's funny because when you perjure yourself in court, you go to jail. When you perjure yourself as a politician, you typically get reelected for another 2 to 6 years, and so, yeah. Amy adds on, whether we are getting the truth or a lie, we've been lied to before and we know it. Yeah, absolutely. We now know that they're actually UFOs. The government has confirmed it. Yeah, but no, Amy, you're right. There's a lot of, and we need to be real careful here because, as we all know, our government does not lie to us, right? They engage in disinformation, and which is just a fancy word of saying we a bunch of liars.
Okay, I was confused for a second.
Yeah, so Amy says that's a show that you would be on, the disinformation show or the UFO show. We actually need to do it. Well, actually, Amy, next week, Nick will actually be on the show, Nick Drago, because it is the second Sunday of the month, and we have our conspiracy theory show, and Nick's going to be on, and we're looking forward to that. And maybe we can talk about UFOs. Nick is
he's dying, ladies and gentlemen. Have another drink of tea there, Mr. I forgot the dump button again.
Yeah, Nick did tell us though that he's got some juicy stuff for us. So looking forward to that.
Juicy, like chicken?
Yeah. Amy says UFO. She wants to be on a UFO show. So all right, we'll keep that in mind. Let's see. Nikki here says, I think that more people are questioning what we're told now, though. Okay, good. So I'm gonna, Mac, if you're okay, I'm gonna segue here just a minute. Okay, and so what about
my dog's barking? So go ahead. I have to give her water before she interrupts the show more. So you go right ahead, sir. I shall be right back.
All right, awesome. So, Nikki, here's an interesting point that you have here. More people are questioning what we're told now. So I do think that more people are questioning, but my direct question is when will the people have had enough? I think questioning is the beginning stages of that, but at what point do we decide that we've had enough? And when we've had enough, what do we do at that point? Do we go to the polls and do we, cast our votes, and do we tell people, hey, you know what, we've had enough, we want new politicians in here? It seems like that's been done before. Or do we have another Boston Tea Party on our hands? Do we have an uprising of the citizens? And what exactly does that look like? How do you do that in a civil manner? Or how do you do that in a manner that is effective and is not destructive to our country and is not looked at as domestic terrorism or anything along those lines? Like, at what point do we decide that enough is enough? We're going to stand up for what we believe in. And, how do we do that? So, Mac, I'm not sure if you heard any of what I was talking about, but to Nikki's point, and I'd really like your opinions on this, folks. To Nikki's point, like people start questioning. Well, the next thing after questions is when you don't like the answers, is the action that you take. What action do you take? How do you keep it civil? How do you keep it from being destructive to our government and destructive to our country, and actually incorporate change? Do we do it at the polls? Do we have another Boston Tea Party type situation? Do we have something that's more organized and deliberate, such as what happened on January 6th? January 6th was not an organized uprising. It was a spur of the moment reaction to people, basically having had enough. So what is your opinion on that? And I'm not looking to get to a January 6th debate. January 6th, the way that it happened was stupid. It was ineffective. It was stupid. It didn't do anything but cause division in the country and waste of tax dollars money. But what do we do when we do not get the answers that we're looking for? And how do we affect change?
Well, am I okay? Let's make sure I unmuted myself.
Yep,
what I would say to that is what you're seeing now in Canada. Peaceful protests by mass amounts of people, such as the truckers' convoy. You're seeing that make news. You're seeing reactions that are being this dog. You see reactions that are being fostered because of it. You see it spreading. I don't know if you've seen, but every weekend there's been mass protests in France and different European countries in response to these mandates. And I think a lot of that has caused these governments to roll back what they're doing. I mean, you've seen it in England, you've seen it in Denmark, you've seen it in the Scandinavian countries. You even have some people coming out, some government officials coming out saying that, that this is becoming a detriment to our way of life and our society. So I think of the pressure that you see put on politicians goes to what Nikki just posted here. And if you put that up, I'd appreciate it. That's where it happens, is the polls. So, politicians are going to be politicians. They don't want to lose their power. So they're going to do anything in their power, even lie to you to get you to vote. But over the last 2 years, I think people's eyes have really been opened, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. I've heard a lot of people saying, people I never would expect to say stuff like that, saying, I'm just about done with this. I'm going to take these precautions, but, at what point do we go back to, are you going to wear masks the rest of your life when you go to a restaurant, when you walk in the door and you can take it off when you sit down? I mean, it's stuff like that, which I think it first started. Now, there was a period of adjustment to where really didn't know what was going on. But as the months went along, there were people that, there were people that are like, okay, what you're saying is contradictory to what we see you doing.
Right.
And that's where it all snowballed for them, whereas they want to have this control, but it's like, do as I say, not as I do. And what put me over the edge personally is when you see all these, we're going to get OSHA to vaccinate companies that have over 100 more people. But Congress is exempt from it.
Well, and the Supreme Court has actually knocked that down also.
I know, but before that happened, that really should really make you think, going, well, if it really affects the older people and what we see in the science, why would Congress be exempt? Because that's just a bunch of old people up there. And stuff like that really personally made me, got the wheels turning and had me look into more stuff and read more stuff and read more medical, not journals. I didn't spend my time thumbing through textbooks, but it really allows you to push yourself to really inform yourself, which is why from August of 2020, I take zinc, D, C, multivitamin, probiotics, lost weight, watching what I eat, things like that, because that's what I continually read, which helps curb it. And to be honest with you, in the, well, almost 2 years now, I've had 1 day of a cough. Can I say it's attributed to that? I can't say with 100% certainty, but I can say that I'm pretty certain that really helped.
Right. Well, I mean, and you've never really worn a mask either because of, some,
Medical issues.
yeah, so, just being.
I've never had one on since it started.
Right. I put Amy's comment up here, and, she raises a pretty good point. It's a problem that so many politicians, and I'm going to tie in a thought to this here in just a second also. It's a problem that so many politicians, most, are controlled by the party system, dependent on campaign contributions coming from huge corporations. It's how we see the FDA and the other federal and state agencies are dictated to by big pharma, corporate agriculture, and the World Bank.
But before you go into that, let me throw something in there, then I'll let you add your thought real quick. Because what she said about controlled by campaign contributions, there's a lot of people, and if you see like heads of the CIA, deputy directors of the CIA are now CEOs of pharmaceutical companies. So there's a lot of top government officials that went into these right before the pandemic started. So that's another thing that gets your mind going. You see all these little chunks that add up to something ain't right here, Cletus, and it really, to me, and I can only speak for myself, really made me want to seek out information and pull from all kinds of different places to see what's really going on here. And to me, and I've said this before, I don't know if I've said it on the show or not, but it definitely bears repeating, which is at the least, we know there's insider trading happening at Congress. We know that portfolios are getting super astronomically big because of the insider trading of big pharmacy. At worst, there's something more nefarious. Now, you can debate that till the cows come home, but at the very least, I think everybody can at least maybe not agree upon, but wrap their head around, well, that's possible. They're making millions and millions of dollars with insider trading, knowing what was coming.
Well, to speak to that, I mean, just to the political system in and of itself. I mean, when you go into a senator or a, any kind of congressional seat, making 6 figures a year, and you're coming out, in the high 8 figures a year.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely some, some broken system stuff going on there, and you'd wish that they'd be a little more discreet about it, but it's almost a big F-U.
It is. It really is anymore.
Yeah, So, I think that there are politicians who want to affect change and want to communicate clearly, cleanly, and honestly. But I think that, to Amy's point, that the bigger companies control the purse strings, and there's all these people that say, well, you can only contribute so much to a politician's fund. There are so many ways around that. I mean, it's not even funny. But and I think that the desire to be in power, and maybe even, I'm going to give some people the benefit of a doubt, the desire to hopefully at some point affect just a small amount of change, is worth it for them to play politics. And I hate that term, playing politics, because you're not playing politics, you're playing with people's lives, and you're playing with, and I'm not talking about COVID, I'm just mean in general, like when you shut down programs, you're, for special interest groups or whatever, you're playing with people's livelihood and things like that. So, and I think that, when you're holding politicians hostage, then, I believe that, you are looking at funding the World Bank. And my personal beliefs, are those that I believe that at one point we are going to be transitioning to a one world government on some level, and therefore one world currency, and the World Bank. And we've talked about the New World Order, on the show before, and I think a lot of that plays in to all of this, and not just what we're seeing with, COVID, but what we've been seeing going on since the 60s, and even especially into the 80s, So that's kind of what I wanted to say to Amy's point. It really comes down to money. I think there are people out there who want to do better and shape change. And I think, but they're controlled by purse strings, which is why I do believe at some point, like Nikki mentioned earlier, right now we're seeing some movement with protest. I really think we're going to get to a point though where, where the protesting is going to fall on deaf ears, and it's going to become a matter of, our politicians and leaders, not just political leaders, but even social leaders, things like that, are going to start gearing towards what's best for the people, and, we're going to become a government not run by the people, but run on the people. And pardon me. And, I just think that a lot of it kind of comes down to that. Your initial question at the beginning of the show is, where are we going with all this? And, one of my initial responses was, we're looking at a conditioning. And I think that that's kind of what's going on here. And I think it's going to get to a point, again, folks, this is just my personal opinions, is that I think we're going to get to a point where protests are not going to be enough. I think this convoy that we're seeing going into Canada, I think is really awesome. I think, but at some point, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think that we're going to have another January 6th on our hands, only on a much larger scale. Boston Tea Party, whatever you want to call it. When the people get fed up, eventually they're going to start fighting. And, that's when you're going to have a lot of people coming, well, we need to do what's best for the people at this point. And I understand I'm getting off, way off topic here, but it kind of sort of answers your question as to ultimately where do I see all this going? Is kind of a bleak dystopian future for not just our country in and of itself, but possibly for the world.
And on that note, he's going to cough.
Yeah. Got a couple comments I'm going to get here. Nick tells us, welcome to the show, Nick. We seem to be moving in the direction of the NWO, or those who may not be familiar with that, New World Order. Nick, I've shared my opinion with you on that before, and that's absolutely true. And for those of you who don't know, Nick will actually be the special guest speaker for next week. And James, I'm going to put his comment up here. We the people should have started stacking bodies at the Capitol when the Patriot Act was signed and put into effect. That's just my view on it. And when I say my view, I mean Jim's view on that. So glad to have you watching tonight, Jim. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. Where are we headed for it? I have hope in my future, life and death, I have hope. But as far as the world itself goes, I think that there's just a little bit of
well, Nick, we have requests for next week.
Yeah, well, I think Nick is actually getting to the point that maybe we should discuss the New World Order next week. Since that seems to be mentioned a couple of times on the show, and Nick, Amy actually mentioned UFOs.
There it is again.
There it is. So, I don't want to close the show out this evening just yet, because I want to make sure that, everyone has an opportunity to share your thoughts and opinions. And we're not going to censor anybody, but we would like to know, what you guys are thinking. What have you thought about the show tonight's topic, things along those lines. We would love to hear your comments and, just get your thoughts and opinions on, whatever it is that you're looking to discuss. Nick says he can talk for hours about UFOs. So, yeah. And at some point, Nick is also an author. Nick's going to be sharing with us, hopefully here before too long, some of his, I believe it's a memoir or sort of autobiography, just kind of about his life. And we're, definitely looking to, possibly even dedicating a whole show to that. Just, having Nick on and talking about, his life and experiences and things along those lines.
Sorry, I just want to apologize. I'm typing with my children's mothers because they're getting close for the trip they have to go on. So I apologize for that if you see me typing.
So Nick says he's almost ready. Awesome. And you know what? For those of you who are new to the show tonight, we've got a couple new viewers. I appreciate that. And you know, let us know what you would like to see from a weekly show. Mac and I started this about a year ago, and we've always just, you know, kind of been it's a show about you guys, not just two morons up here sharing life opinions.
Didn't it start as a vocal show in August of 2020?
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a year and a half almost.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, you know, we've been doing this we're not quite yet grizzled seasoned veterans yet, but you know, grizzled maybe, but you know, but yeah, we love to, you know, let us know what you guys want on the show. We've done everything from, man, we've done dating shows, we've done feline shows, talent.
I think everybody kind of likes the trivia ones.
The
whoa,
trivia
whoa,
ones?
whoa,
Yep.
whoa, Amy, whoa.
So, Amy, are you volunteering to be on the show that night or what? You know, well, I mean, Mac and I could take our shirts off if you wanted to, but I don't really think that you want to see that.
I don't want to see that.
I think that might turn people off the show as opposed to turn people on to the show. But, you know, let us know, you know, what you guys want to hear, what you want to talk about. You know, you can tell us, you know, just give it up, die, you know, shut our mouths or whatever. I mean, we won't, but, you know, we do at least welcome your opinions.
Well, I don't know about that either. Why don't you just go die, Chuck? Why don't you just cough up a lung?
The best thing you could do is not be here.
Fine.
So, yeah, I think it's been a pretty good show tonight. You know, if you guys have any comments, let us know. You know, we're happy to talk about those. Nick, looking very forward to the show that you're going to bring to us next week. Everyone, you have a good night too, Nick. Thanks for joining us tonight. You know, everyone, you know, Nick always brings us a great show. We always have great topic of discussion and great interaction with that also. It's not very many shows that you get that are live these days where you can actually interact and, you know, tell people to cram it or, you know, tell us, you know, your thoughts and opinions. Tell us, you know, how big of idiots we actually are, you know, or, you know, even prove us wrong. That's my biggest thing. I love to be proven wrong because I get to learn when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, I apologize. You know, it's kind of the clothes shopping tonight was waiting for me to get off, so you know I could pay, which I have no problem with.
Right.
What I would recommend people do before they watch a show, go back and look at some of Nick's shows. You know, on YouTube or on our Mac and Chuck page. Kind of familiarize yourself with his viewpoints, what we've talked about in the past. I think that's a great way to lead up to next week's show.
Yeah, I'd agree. So I think with that being said, it's been a great show tonight. We appreciate everybody being on here. Again, tune in next week, Sunday, 6 o'clock. You know, we'll be here, 6 o'clock Central Time. And Lisa says, cram it, Hill. Holmes,
Wow,
I got a couple words for you.
What did you do?
But anyway, you know, thanks for coming on the show tonight. We definitely appreciate it. And just had a friend of ours that, you know, had a death in the family recently, and, you know, we don't want to say any names, but just know that our thoughts and prayers are with you guys and wish you, you know, safe journeys on your trip. And also want to say, you know, prayers for my aunt. You know, my aunt's in the hospital right now. So, you know, want to, you know, send her good prayers her way. So with that being said, Mac, you got anything else?
Peace, love, dope, man.
All right, guys. Have a great night. And thanks for joining.